Good morning. Happy Friday and welcome to Cisilion Live today, coming to you from various remote locations. Thanks for all the likes, comments and shares recently. You guys are really helping make the show a success. So thanks to everyone in attendance. We've got law firms, banks, patent attorneys, insurers, charities and the public sector on the call today. So thanks guys. Keep your questions coming, especially today as I'm joined by a couple of new faces. Adam Hand, a Microsoft Solutions architect, second time on the show, and Sam Fonica, a senior security consultant of ours who not only focuses on multiple security vendors, he also holds a Cisco CCIE accreditation. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good.
Welcome.
Good. Yes. We got a lot to discuss today, gents, in 30 minutes. We're going to be taking the Zero Trust framework. Thank you for the slide. The Zero Trust framework down to its technology foundation, showing that the platform approach is accessible to all businesses and that many enterprises are already halfway there. Without even knowing it in some cases. How do we know that? Because 99% of our customers have already got two prominent vendors in their technology stacks, both of whom offer incredible SaaS platform solutions to support Zero Trust, which at the same time, the same clients, 99%, are usually already licensed for. Despite this, we still see our customers trying to address vulnerabilities, as you see on the screen here, using point products, vulnerability by vulnerability, one by one. So today we'll be showing that strength in depth builds a stronger overall posture. As with any journey, we'll go to the start where organizations are today in terms of legacy before flipping over to what foundations are needed in the Zero Trust world. We'll go through this journey point by point, one by one, hearing how Microsoft and Cisco security platforms address each of the vulnerabilities. So Sam, welcome to your first Cisilion Live podcast. And my first question to you, my friend, what's your high level view of the legacy security approach and the challenges organizations and vendors, I guess, are facing to achieve Zero Trust?
Let me start by saying it's good to be here. Thank you, Craig. So to address your question, it's a really good question, actually. We get this all the time from many customers across different segments of the industry, and I guess the simplest answer is we live in a world that is constantly changing, and most organizations, depending on size and budget, still operate in this traditional world where everything is on-prem, right? So you have your users that always go to the office. You have your firewalls that are supposed to be your perimeter for the network. And everything is more or less local. Your identity is local, your endpoints are local. And by having everything locally, traditionally, we considered the firewall to be the perimeter, and that is how we secure the organization. Now things are changing, obviously. The majority of us are now working from home. So I think it's going to be changing constantly going forward, and we need to adopt and change with the times, so we can no longer rely on that traditional sort of perimeter firewall protected world. So we need to change, I guess. So that's what we're trying to address here. So that's where Zero Trust comes in. It's all about verifying, the user's identity, making sure that we enable those users to connect regardless of where they are, if they're at home or not. Make sure that they get the right access when they access or when they connect, and make sure that we are always protected and our clients are always protected as an organization.
Cheers, Sam. Great overview. Really appreciate your start there. We'll go into these points in a moment. Just quickly before we do, Adam, same question to you really. What's the world look like today, and what are the challenges, I guess, that you're seeing our customers and vendors face?
Yeah, and it's very similar to obviously what Sam's discussed, as is highlighted. Obviously, things have changed. The environment is a lot different. to work from home has made things a lot more challenging for ID departments and security departments in general, because a lot of organisations that we work with and that we've had discussions with are still, a lot of their issues during this period has been the fact that they're still trying to push those boundaries that obviously are quite hard to enforce, because they have been eroded physically, because those users just aren't there. You're not in control of them as much as you are, and forcing them down the legacy technologies that obviously is available to them makes it quite difficult, not only for them to operate, but also to challenge to provide that level of support. But yeah, even if you start with the user journey, for example, you look at the user logging onto the services, one of the key things, and is recommended by a lot of security vendors and recommendations, is around multi-factor authentication. So just even logging on to the service before you even think about all the other things about how you protect that at a base level, there's still a lot of organizations out there that don't turn on or haven't turned on multi-factor authentication.
Yeah. Sam, keen to get your thoughts on that whole verification piece.
Definitely, yeah. So from a Cisco perspective, it's pretty much the same. It's just the way they phrase it, or the ways they structure it, or the approach or the framework that they tend to follow. So in Cisco world, it's all about protecting the workforce, protecting the workloads, and protecting the workplace, right? So workforce, workloads, workplace, and that's where the multi-factor authentication falls into. So the securing the workforce is where multi-factor authentication comes into play in the Cisco portfolio. And like Adam mentioned, it is the new sort of identity, is the new boundary, is the new perimeter. It's something that every customer of ours that we engage, especially during these times, is looking to enable. Cisco obviously offers products like Cisco Duo, which are very, very competitive with other vendors out there from that perspective. But the journey sort of takes us further when we look at zero trust, right? So you verify the user, you establish the user's identity, you secure using multiple factor authentication, you've established that trust. Now your user can potentially leverage things like conditional access, etc., to make sure that they are who they are. There's that additional level of security there. And that takes us on the next step on the journey, which is enable them to do what they need to do, right? So how do we enable them to do what they need to do? How do we give them the right access, right? So MFA can be applied to anything, right? You can apply MFA to your cloud apps, you can apply MFA to your on-prem Windows logon, etc. But because we've transitioned so quickly, right, no one expected COVID to hit us that hard, and many organizations didn't expect it, and everyone was doing VPN, everyone was not having enough VPN sessions or licenses or VPN environments set up, etc. That's basically the challenge that I think we've sort of faced.
And Sam, just to cut across you there as you go on to VPN, it's a great question the way we framed it here: implement VPN or not? Adam, keen to get your thoughts. Let us know. Should we be implementing VPNs or not?
Yeah. Well, it's a very difficult question to answer, because obviously a lot of that is dependent upon the customer and obviously their requirements. It's all about you and your organizations and finding the right balance, because as Sam's touched upon, bandwidth is a key thing for everybody right now, not just people working from home, but even in the offices. They may not have the licenses to support all of their workbase coming in on VPNs or their RDS terminals or those type of things as well. So yeah, it's always look at what's right for the organization.
And notwithstanding the comment about organization by organization, Sam, I'm conscious that VPN technology has been a stalwart of Cisco's security offering for many years. How would you on to the generic VPN or not kind of conversation?
I think it's pretty much what Adam said. It has to be sort of addressed on a client by client basis. But what we've seen, especially with Cisco over this period, is that the majority of customers were caught unprepared. To VPN or not to VPN is dependent on the scenario. In the times that we live in, if you don't have a cloud presence and everything that you have is on-prem, and you do not have that hybrid environment that would allow you to sync your on-prem workloads to the cloud and leverage sort of the cloud protection that is available out there, then you're more or less stuck in this sort of environment where you need to use VPN in order to continue to consume those resources. But if you can sort of progress and go further on this journey and become a bit more hybrid in your approach rather than being completely traditional, then you can sort of move away from that VPN as more and more applications are consumed from the cloud.
Good man.
Hopefully
And a quick, it does a very good answer, both of you. Very diplomatic as well, gentlemen. Appreciate that. But as we mentioned, the VPN and connectivity, naturally one of the first lines of defense is the DNS layer as we break out to the internet. And I know it's a big strength of Cisco's. One of my favorite acquisitions of theirs in recent years, OpenDNS. Sam, do you want to explain a little more about how Cisco are taking Umbrella to address the DNS challenge?
Definitely, yeah. Like you said, acquisition. So everyone is probably familiar with OpenDNS. It's been around for ages. It's now called Cisco Umbrella. From a DNS perspective, I think the right word there would be to say web security, right? We're all used with proxying. We're all used to having equipment on-prem that will basically filter our users as they go out to the internet. So be that a proxy or whatever we use. That's where sort of Cisco took over and introduced the DNS layer security, because you can have protection everywhere. And that's where Cisco's seeing a huge increase in customer signups, etc., especially during these times, because organizations want to see what their users are doing day in and day out, and they want to make sure that their users are protected and secure if they're working from home, if they're working from a coffee shop. But yeah, wherever they're working, our customer or the organization, the business wants to be able to make sure that the users are protected, and that's where DNS sort of comes in this play. It's making sure that the user has the right access at the right time with the right level of posture and security sort of compliance.
Cool. Good man. Thank you, gentlemen, on that one. And Sam, picking up on your words about what users do day in, day out. I don't know about anyone else, but email tends to be still one of the most prevalent tools that we're having, and secure email technologies massively form part of this foundation of zero trust that we're talking about. Sam, I guess it's fair to say, as Cisco don't have their own native email platform, there's not too much noise about what Cisco do on secure email, but there's plenty of innovation that they're bringing to the table. Do you think that's fair to say?
I think it's probably not as well advertised as it could be, right? So they do have a security play when it comes to email. Obviously, they don't have a mail delivering platform, but they do integrate quite well with products such as Office 365, Exchange Online, and they can provide the same, if not better, level of security when it comes to defending against things like data loss or encrypting sensitive information, the email security that you would expect to get, basically like anti-phishing, similar to what SafeLink does. So all of those features that you would get with a traditional email security offering can be bolted on top of a Microsoft Office Exchange sort of solution. So the key thing again that differentiates both Microsoft and Cisco is the large amount of data that they see day in and day out. So Cisco has Talos, which is their intelligence team, and they have a few hundred researchers that basically sit there day in and day out and make sure that the data is analyzed, the data is basically interpreted in the right way using machine learning and AI based analytics. So all these things sort of come together in order to make sure that security is delivered not just on email, but on any of Cisco's products, so to speak. So they do have an offering, to answer your question. It's probably not as well advertised as Microsoft. And when it comes to our customers, it is really, really down to where they've invested and how can we sort of help them.
Brilliant. And gents, I've just had a word in my ear that we need to, we've got 9 minutes left and a few points still to raise. Sam, is it fair to say on this one that Cisco aren't too prevalent, do you think?
Again, so same as my previous answer. I think Cisco is a bit misunderstood when it comes to endpoint, email, and the likes. So they do have an offering. It is very well integrated. It does leverage the same threat intelligence that I was referencing earlier, Talos. So the offering from Cisco is an advanced malware protection for endpoints. So that gives you that sort of protection and security on the endpoint. There's some key differentiators within the offering that obviously we can take offline with our customers and walk them through it as they progress on this journey. But there is an offering. It is a strong offering, an integrated offering. And as far as customer choice goes, it depends on where they're most invested in. If their infrastructure is primarily Cisco and they have more with Cisco than they do with Microsoft, then it makes sense to integrate and continue down that journey.
Good man. Cloud-based security. I'm quite a fan of Cisco SecureX, Talos, as you mentioned, Sam. But that's just me as a consultant and what we like to sell, obviously. In 45 seconds, Sam, how would you sum up Cisco's cloud-based security offering?
Again, they do have an offering, and it is fully integrated. They've acquired CloudLock some time ago, so they can deliver the same, if not better, level of security when it comes to cloud applications, purely because they have this traditional play on the traditional network or enterprise where all of your equipment is on-prem and you're sort of transitioning to the cloud, and because of that they get the visibility at the firewall level, and it gets passed on to the CASB, and then there's more analytics and enforcement. Whereas with Microsoft, I guess they don't get it natively. They have to import syslogs and things of that nature in order to leverage it. So, yeah.
Brilliant. And the next one, number 8, platform approach. I think it's relatively well known that the platform approach is recommended when you're looking at zero trust. As we said earlier, strength in depth is better than best of breed. I guess firstly and foremostly to each of you, what's the overriding name or selling point, if you will, for the platform approach for each vendor? But also, what would you recommend? And I know your answer is going to be it depends on the individual customer and everything else, but maybe try and tie into what a customer should put all their eggs in one basket, what customers should put their eggs in your basket, but most importantly, which customers would benefit from or which situations a customer faces would benefit from a multi-vendor platform approach. Adam, I'll go to you first on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so from obviously you've touched upon one of the points. It obviously is dependent upon what the organisations want to do, but it's putting the right level of protection. Microsoft have got massive depth, so have obviously Cisco, and I do think between both vendors, obviously they can tie in quite well in terms of what they could do and can complement each other. But it's trying to find the right strategy for you and also protection as an organisation in terms of the right way moving forward. Because furthermore, there are multiple ways that you can skin a cat in this world, and it's actually making sure that the right protection is usable for the end users and is right for the organisation in terms of the level of protection.
Thanks, Adam. Really appreciate that. And Sam, would you concur?
Yeah, pretty much everything that Adam said, and I would add to that basically it also depends on where you are on this journey, right? So if you don't have much of a cloud presence today, and there is very little hybrid integration between your on-prem and your cloud, then the Microsoft play is something that you would have to sort of work a bit harder on. Whereas if you'll have a Cisco infrastructure today, and you have firewalls and you have some Cisco products to protect you with very little presence in the cloud, Cisco gives you that vendor agnostic approach through SecureX, which allows you to integrate all of your other security products that you might have. Maybe you have a different endpoint offering, maybe you have a different identity store or MFA and the like. So all of those things can come together under SecureX to give you that platform approach. So there's no right or wrong answer. It just depends on where you are on your journey, so to speak. Yes.
And Sam, again, maybe another area that Cisco aren't necessarily massively known for, but you mentioned SecureX, you mentioned Talos. What's the SOC workflow, automation of SOC workflows play for Cisco?
So pretty much expanding on what Adam said, Cisco per se does not have a SIEM offering. Their product is more of a platform approach to security. So SecureX is the platform that ties it all together, be that Cisco Umbrella, be that the cloud, the CASB offerings, the endpoint, the identity, be that a third-party identity, whatever it is. It can sort of aggregate all that data and to be able to remediate and act on any sort of incident that you see. And the key thing here is that SecureX is free. So any customer that has a Cisco product, like let's say you bought Cisco Umbrella, you have complete access to SecureX for free. So it's cloud-based, it is delivered, you integrate your Cisco Umbrella, you integrate some of your Microsoft identity or endpoint or whatever, depending on what you have. So it's all integratable and it's free. I think that's the biggest message there.
Brilliant. And guys, that number 10 awareness is one that we could all wax lyrical on forever. And I'm sure there's plenty of CISOs on the call scratching their heads. That's something we need to keep addressing. We won't go into it now. We're unfortunately short of time. Maybe a follow-up session soon on that. But just stop clicking the links, guys. It's as simple as that. Make sure that you're working and on trusted sources of documentation and do the right thing. What I'd actually like to see on my 2 pennies on awareness is I'd like to see that become more syllabus in our children's schools. Let's change the world. Let's not just change the organization. But I won't bore everyone to death with my view on there. Looking at the time, just want to end on this. Sam, we have a customer, and a lot of customers on the call are asking us that question: which platform do we mix and match? Should we go back to point by point? I guess where would you take a customer from their journey in terms of understanding their own journey towards zero trust, Sam?
It comes back to the point that we've had at the beginning of the conversation. Depends on where the customer is on this sort of journey, right? If they have a presence in the cloud, then it makes sense to explore the licensing that they have to the fullest. So it's understanding the customer needs, working with the customer, and making sure that they leverage everything to the maximum of their ability. It's all about protecting the user and the enterprise, rather than we want to sell you this or we want to sell you that.
Good man. Adam, same summary from your perspective. We've just met a customer for the first time. They've told us they're going to zero trust.
Yeah,
I haven't got a clue which way to go. Go on, sorry.
I echo some of those comments from Sam in terms of that, and it really is in kind of finding the right scenario, and not just selling technology for technology's sake. To have that operating in a silo, it's really to try and bring the platforms together. And there are strengths in both platforms, and in terms of bringing them all together. But I think the key thing is working towards kind of with you in workshops and those type of things to kind of work out what is right for you as an organization. And that's what we try to do here at Cisilion quite a lot, is actually try and find the best fit for you, rather than just the product and kind of the flavor of the day.
Sad to say we're now out of time, but as the guys have said, start the journey with an assessment of the current state. Choose an independent partner like Cisilion, and strive towards that platform approach to security, whether that be one platform, another platform, or a mixture of the two. Will help you get there. If you're interested in one of our security workshops, it's what, Adam, Sam, a day or two, half a day?
Yeah, about a day.
Yeah.
Depends.
And a great report at the end of that with some actionable recommendations. We're not charging for those for select customers. So get in touch, drop us a comment, and we'll work to help you guys build that foundation. As I said, like and share to your friends even. Thanks for today. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Adam. Thank you to our lovely audience.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely day.